Part 54. Pirate Plant Fruit. Author, Lee A Dream. Chapter 569. ID Con 1704950. Rog threw the iron birch sword with all his might. Go. The iron birch sword was thrown over. Puff. The iron birch sword pierced the buttocks of the Korra's army commander's horse. Hiss. The healthy horse staggered forward quickly. The head of the Korra's army also fell to the ground. Rog rushed over quickly, reached the buttocks of the fallen horse, pulled out his hand suddenly, and pulled out the iron birch sword. Rog raised the iron birch sword and looked at the leader of the Korra's army again. The leader of the Korra's legion stood up from the ground in a state of embarrassment. He saw Rog and understood that he couldn't escape. "If you are still a soldier, then let's have a showdown," Rog said sternly. "All right." The last bit of blood that belonged to the soldiers of the discomfited leader of the Korra's army was aroused. He grabbed the saber at his waist with his right hand. Chong! A sharp long sword was pulled out from the scabbard at his waist by him. There are also some patterns engraved on the long sword, and the workmanship is very sophisticated. It seems that it is a long sword made of fine steel that has been tempered and refined. The blade is very sharp. It can even be said that from the outside, it is not bad at all compared with Sauron's samurai swords. The head of the Korra's legion gripped the sharp long sword tightly with both hands. Rog held the sharp and thick iron birch sword in both hands. "Kill!" Both sides shouted at the same time. The two ran towards each other. The iron birch sword raised in Rog's hand fell down. The long sword held tightly in the hands of the commander of the Korra's army slashed towards Rog's neck. Puff! Chong! Rog cut a huge hole in the chest of the leader of the Korra's legion. There were quite a few scratches on the walnut armor around Rog's neck. But it's still a matter of victory. The body of the leader of the Korra's legion fell down. His eyes were full of madness and desperation at the last moment. Roger panted and looked at the fallen enemy. He observed the damage to the walnut armor on his neck. The opponent's long sword was indeed sharp, and it actually scratched the walnut armor quite a bit. This is an effect that many bullets and bombs do not have. If the commander of the Korra's legion was highly skilled in martial arts, then Rog himself might have died here as well. After killing the leader of the Korra's army, Rog looked around. Many of the officers and soldiers of the security forces on the battlefield saw the head of their own army being beheaded. The commander of the Korra's army died in battle. For a while, the remnants of the Fourth Army were in a state of confusion. Although there are still hundreds of people, without their backbone, they have no desire and courage to continue fighting. The chaos soon affected everyone. The remnants of the Fourth Army began to fall into chaos. Many officers and soldiers began to flee the battlefield. The Fourth Army collapsed completely, and the remaining officers and soldiers quickly fled from the front. Rog and Luffy stopped fighting and just watched these enemies escape. Since the enemy has collapsed and fled, there is no point in fighting. At the gate of the huge courtyard of the Grandet mansion, Eugenie, housekeeper Charles, and the attendants all saw a large number of remnants of the security forces rushing towards this place. "Mademoiselle Eugenie, be careful." The steward Charles hurriedly led Eugenie and the attendants away from the gate. Then a large number of defeated and remnant soldiers of the public security army swarmed in and fled from here. Eugenie looked at the defeated security forces, feeling very anxious. "Father, what's going on?" Eugenie said worriedly. The huge explosion in the mansion just now was also seen and heard by many people. Eugenie was very worried about her father's safety. Just as a large number of defeated security forces fled the Grandet mansion and surrounding areas, a large group of security forces came near the Grandet mansion. There were more than 1,000 people in this group of security forces, but just like the remnants of the security forces who escaped from the huge courtyard of the mansion, these more than 1,000 security forces also looked like they were defeated. They even looked more embarrassed mentally. In front of these more than 1,000 security forces was General Du Lun, the commander-in-chief of the security forces. When the defense lines of the fortifications at the port of Magic Valley City and the nearby coast were completely defeated, General Duran led more than 1,000 remaining soldiers to retreat to the Grandet Mansion. Because he also knew that the area of the Grandet Mansion was in an emergency. Since the battle in the coastal area is bound to be defeated, the remaining troops might as well support here. What's going on? General Duran looked at the officers and soldiers of the security forces who fled from the area of the Grandet Mansion in surprise and said. He looked at these broken soldiers who were frantically fleeing, and felt that the situation was extremely bad. In addition, when he retreated here, he couldn't contact the commander of the Kora's army, so he now fully understands. The Grandet Mansion area was also defeated. The security forces are now in a complete defeat. When the more than 1,000 security officers and soldiers he brought back for support saw this scene, they who originally thought the fighting would be better here instantly became desperate. What's wrong with us? General Durham said tremblingly. This is a majestic general who is now completely desperate in the face of a complete defeat. The senior officers beside him were also disheartened. In this way, he led the remaining security troops into the Grandet Mansion area to fight, and was defeated not long after. In the huge courtyard of Grandet's mansion, all the surviving security forces quickly ran away. Only countless corpses were left lying on the ground. There are also the scorched land and trees, and various bombed artillery and weapons. The strong wind blew the charred plants black and ashes everywhere. Rog and Luffy went to the gate of the Grandet Mansion together. I don't know what's going on inside, Rog said as he looked at the huge mansion. Let's go in and support too, Luffy said. Okay, Roger said. Rog walked to the door of Grandet Mansion and grabbed the thorn net with both hands. The power of plant fruit is used in the body. Green light flickered in the palms of Rog's hands. The thorn net at the gate of Grandet Mansion was quickly opened. Now Roger and Luffy can enter this gate. Roger pushed the door open and walked in with Luffy. But as soon as they entered, the two saw Sanji and Robin sitting on a chair. Sanji, Rog said in surprise. Robin, Luffy said in surprise. Sanji looked at the two of them and said, it seems that the outside world has also won. Luffy's eyes quickly landed on Robin, who was sitting on the chair. He saw that Robin was clearly injured on the right side of the chest. What's going on, Robin? Luffy said with concern. Luffy quickly came to Robin and looked at her seriously. A little hurt. It's okay, Robin said calmly. Why don't you rush to Chopper for treatment? Luffy said with concern. Pirate Plant Fruit. Author, Lee A Dream. Chapter 570. ID Con 17049555. Rog also saw that Robin was injured. He walked up to Robin and said, let's retreat and find Jobo for treatment. He looked at Sanji again and said, where is Grandet? Has he been caught? Sanji shook his head and said, no, he was killed by a subordinate who wanted to die with me. After hearing this, Rog said, he's dead. That's okay. Anyway, we have achieved our goal. We can't catch him, but it's good that he's dead. Rog looked at Robin and said, the enemies in the courtyard have all been cleared away. Let's find a way to evacuate. Okay, Sanji and Luffy said together. Roger saw that Robin was unable to move violently because of the injury. I just want to find a way to quickly take out the plant tools for transportation. Rog removed the walnut armor from his body and took it off. I started to find out the transformed plants from the clothes to use as a means of transportation. Yes, eggplant horses and pumpkin carriages. Roger took out 2 eggplants and a pumpkin. Luffy looked at it strangely and said, it looks delicious. Robin smiled lightly when he saw it. Sanji looked at the plant tools that Rog took out, and said, you can make such incredible things every time. Rog first took out one of the eggplant horses, and then concentrated the power of the plant fruit in his body for further transformation. Although these are plants that have been modified before, they need further modification before they can be used. Rog's hands concentrated the power of the plant fruit in his body, and a green light appeared in the palms of both hands. Under the green light, the eggplant horse began to grow rapidly, and also showed animal-like activities. "It's amazing," Sanji looked at the eggplant horse and said. "It's so interesting," Luffy observed excitedly and said. Under the action of Rog's hands using the power of the plant fruit, the eggplant horse finally grew bigger and bigger, becoming like a real tall horse. The most surprising thing is that this eggplant has grown limbs like a horse, but they are thick. This eggplant actually grew into a healthy horse. "Huh, it's finally okay," Roger said. Roger then transformed another eggplant horse. At this time, Luffy curiously observed the eggplant horse that had grown into a tall horse. "It's really alive," Luffy excitedly jumped on the back of the eggplant horse, and this eggplant horse was indeed ridden on the back like a docile horse. Sanji also walked to the side of the eggplant horse, and carefully observed the eggplant, which was the same as a real horse. "It's really shocking. Things that should be ingredients have turned into this kind of horse," Sanji said in admiration. With Rog's efforts, another eggplant horse also grew into an eggplant like a tall horse. After transforming two eggplant horses in succession, Rog began to transform the pumpkin. Rog concentrated a lot of plant fruit power, and hugged the pumpkin carriage with both hands. The power of the green plant fruit in Rog's palms began to be continuously transmitted to the pumpkin carriage. The normal-sized pumpkin began to grow rapidly, first the size of a barrel, then the size of a bear, and then the size of a real wagon. The resulting pumpkin carriage itself is a carriage with windows and doors, and 4 pumpkin-shaped wheels underneath. "Okay, the pumpkin carriage has also taken shape," Rog said. After transforming the 2 eggplant horses and the pumpkin carriage, Rog tied up the 2 eggplant horses with vines from the pumpkin carriage. Roger looked at the pumpkin carriage pulled by 2 eggplant horses, and said, "Okay, now we can leave here in this carriage." Luffy looked at the pumpkin carriage pulled by eggplant horses. Such a peculiar carriage looked amazing. "It looks so fun," Luffy said excitedly. Sanji looked at the carriage, and after observing it carefully, he said, "It's really good." "Okay, Sanji, let's help Robin go up," Rog said to Sanji. Rog and Sanji helped the injured Robin to the carriage. Robin walked to the door of the pumpkin carriage and looked inside. "It's really like in a fairy tale," Robin said with a smile. Sanji's eyes shone after hearing what Robin said, and he said with love, "Really? Then I will be the knight who supports the princess." Robin smiled for a while. Roger is also ashamed. Sanji is really an elegant playboy. Always fantasize about these romantic things. With the support of Rog and Sanji, Robin sat inside the pumpkin carriage. The interior of this pumpkin is completely the same as the layout of the carriage. Robin felt comfortable sitting here. After sending Robin to the carriage, Sanji said kindly to Robin, "Miss Robin, you can rest here." "Thank you for your attention," Robin said politely. "You're welcome. Are we partners?" Rog said. "Don't worry, we'll go find Chopper and the others soon," Luffy said. "Rog, Sanji and Luffy are going to drive this carriage and leave here." "How to drive this carriage?" Sanji asked Rog. "This carriage only needs to be driven by 2 eggplant horses. Because I created them, they are very docile. Naturally, they are the most flexible when I control them. But if you are willing, I can drive them for you." Rog looked at this carriage. Said. "Great, I want to drive this carriage," Luffy said excitedly. "No," Sanji immediately yelled at him. "Why not?" Luffy said with some dissatisfaction on his face. Sanji said solemnly, "Don't forget that Miss Robin is inside. You are too reckless. If you drive too fast or too bumpy or make a bad direction, then the consequences will be serious. So for Miss Robin, you need to a cavalier as cautious as I am is also a coachman." Luffy looked resentful, he was indeed reckless. Even if Luffy wanted to control the carriage by himself, he would probably cause problems. Sanji quickly sat in the driving seat of the carriage, and pulled the pumpkin vine from here, and the pumpkin vine was tied to the two eggplant horses like a rein. "Okay, ready," Sanji said. Rog sat in the carriage in order to better protect Robin. Luffy jumped on top of the carriage. "Drive." Sanji pulls on the vine, and the two eggplant horses start to move. The pumpkin carriage behind also began to move under the pull of the two horses. Sanji drove the carriage and began to travel outside from the entrance of Grandet Mansion. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Pirate Plant Fruit. Author, Lee A Dream. Chapter 571. ID Con 1705631. The carriage began to pass through the vast courtyard surrounding the Grandet Mansion. The huge courtyard that had gone through the brutal battle was very desolate, with burnt and damaged vegetation everywhere, and corpses strewn everywhere. Sanji was driving the carriage, and he sighed when he saw this scene. When they came in before, the flowers, plants and trees in this huge courtyard were very beautiful, peaceful and quiet, full of green and bright colors. But now it is such a mess. He said casually, the battle outside is really fierce. Luffy looked at the messy scene in the huge yard around him and said, there was a huge explosion at that time. It was so shocking. Sanji drove the carriage and continued on. Passing through this huge courtyard along the way, we finally arrived at the entrance of the huge courtyard. This wagon of eggplants and pumpkins passed the gate of the great yard. As soon as they drove out of the gate, Sanji and the others saw a group of people near the gate of the huge courtyard. I saw a beautiful brown-haired girl in a blue dress staying here with an anxious expression on her face. There is also a middle-aged man and several people dressed as attendants. Sanji's heart pounded when he saw that beautiful girl. He wanted to take a closer look, but suddenly remembered that Robin in the car needed to be treated as soon as possible. Just continue to drive the carriage forward. Why is there such a beautiful lady in a place like this at this time? Sanji whispered to himself. Eugenie and Charles, the housekeeper and attendants near the gate of the huge courtyard, looked at the carriage strangely. Anyone who looks at the eggplant-like horses and pumpkin-like carriages will be surprised. But after watching the carriage go away, Eugenie's expression suddenly became complicated. He had never seen people like Sanji and the others in the mansion. Moreover, the security forces who were fighting here fled in panic, and then a carriage made of such strange plants came out. It was so strange. Could it be that they are from the Iruyama United Army? Eugenie said with a complicated expression. Eugenie and housekeeper Charles watched Sanji and his carriage go away. Ah, father. Eugenie hastily turned her head to the huge courtyard. She quickly walked into the huge courtyard. Miss. Steward Charles and the attendants also hurried over. Sanji and the others rode in a carriage and continued on their way. Soon they left the gate of the huge courtyard of the Grandet Mansion, but just as the carriage reached a wide road, they found a large army in front of them. What? Sanji drove the carriage and looked at the army appearing in front. Wow, there are enemies again, Luffy said after looking at the army. Rog, who was sitting in the pumpkin carriage, also poked his head out and looked at the army on the opposite side. Could it be that the security forces have support again? Rog said. I saw a large army blocking the middle of the road ahead. This large army is of course the security force, and there are quite a few of them, with hundreds or even thousands of people. And there are infantry, cavalry, and carriages. This created a problem for Rog and Sanji. Under normal circumstances, he is not afraid of fighting, but now that Robin is injured and sitting in the car, once a war starts, it is very likely that Robin will suffer. They're here again, beat them away. Luffy raised his arms and prepared to fight. You can't fight casually in the current situation. Don't forget that Miss Robin is in the car. Sanji stopped him and said. Sanji looked at the security force and thought of a solution. Sanji continued to drive the carriage towards the security forces. The leader of the security force is General Du Lun, the commander-in-chief of the security force. General Durham saw the carriage approaching. What? General Durham was shocked. He saw that the carriage passing by turned out to be an eggplant-like horse and a pumpkin-like carriage. He even wondered if his eyes were wrong about the carriage turned into a plant. At the same time, his eyes also saw Sanji driving the carriage. The man with curly eyebrows quickly reminded him of the combat materials related to the members of the Straw Hat Pirates. This person is a member of the Straw Hat Pirates. General Du Lun recognized Sanji. Except for General Duran, the senior officers around him also recognized Sanji one after another. Many officers and soldiers in the rear saw the strange eggplant horses and pumpkin carriages. Sanji naturally looked at General Duran and these senior officers. Sanji saw a dignified and burly officer in a military overcoat leading a group of senior officers and a large group of security officers and soldiers to occupy the center of the road. These security forces have prepared their guns and are always ready to fight. Although some of them looked obviously full of fear. General Du Lun raised his hand to his opponent, signaling not to act rashly. Guys, I don't think we need to fight anymore. Sanji stopped the carriage first and said. General Duran looked at Sanji together with the senior officers and the officers and soldiers of the security force. Sanji looked at General Duran and the security forces. I want to tell you all first. Grandet is dead, Sanji said in a calm and serious tone. This news was like a bolt from the blue, shocking General Du Lun and the entire security force. Mayor Grandet, he is dead. General Du Lun looked at Sanji and the others and said. The other senior officers were also shocked. A large number of officers and soldiers of the security forces were all surprised and terrified. According to their logic, Sanji and the others who were driving this strange carriage in front of them were the ones going to attack the Grandet mansion. Afterwards, General Duran regained some composure. But when he thought about it carefully, it made sense. Otherwise, how could Sanji and the others leave the Grandet mansion? This pumpkin carriage came from the direction of the Grandet mansion. Sanji continued, but I want to declare that Mayor Grandet was not killed by us. He died because his bodyguard detonated the explosives. General Du Lun and the senior officers around him had complex expressions. The mayor of Grandet is already dead, so the meaning of continuing to fight is gone. And if it is a fight, this security force may not be able to beat Sanji and the others. Sanji looked at General Du Lun, and he could see that he was almost the leader of the security force. Okay, we're all strangers. There's no point in continuing this pointless fight. Let's go our separate ways. Sanji said seriously. Saying that, Sanji drove the carriage along the side of the road. During the march, the security forces just watched from the sidelines, without any intention of obstructing or attacking. After passing through more than 1,000 security troops, Sanji also breathed a sigh of relief. Okay, we can speed up now. Hurry up and join Chopper and the others, Sanji said. Okay, let's go quickly, Luffy said. Sanji said to Rog in the carriage, Rog, you should communicate with Chopper and the others. Pirate Plant Fruit. Author, Lee A Dream. Chapter 572. ID Con 1705641. OK, Roger took out a phone bug and started communicating. In the carriage, Roger dialed the phone bug's number and started communication. Hello, Mont Blanc Kulik, Rog asked. Oh, Rog. How are you doing there, said Mont Blanc Kulik from the opposite side. We won the battle, but Grandet died. We didn't capture him alive, Rog first described the situation. It's really great. It's also very good that he died. In this way, the security forces and other remnants will be leaderless, Mont Blanc Kulik said happily. But Robin was injured, and everyone else is fine. We are going to the port of Magic Valley City as quickly as possible, Rog said. Okay, I'll let the ship doctors go down, Mont Blanc Kulik said on the opposite side. Then Rog and Mont Blanc Kulik ended the call. Rog called Usopp again. Usopp was very happy on the phone after receiving the victory message. That's great. You have won. You are worthy of being my partner, Usopp said happily on the other side. Usopp, please tell Chopper to get him ready. Because Robin is injured, Rog said seriously. What, Robin is injured? Usopp said in shock. Yes, we are rushing to the port now. So you tell Chopper to get him ready, Rog said. Okay, Usopp said. Then Rog and Usopp ended the call. Roger looked at Robin in the carriage, and Robin's face was still calm now. Although he suffered some injuries before, he temporarily stabilized his physical condition with the special medicine he took. However, emergency treatment is still not enough, and Chopper must be given regular treatment. Robin, just hold on for a while, Roger said encouragingly. Well, thank you. My physical condition is fairly stable now, Robin said calmly. Sanji, who is driving the pumpkin carriage, accelerates the carriage to move forward quickly. Of course, the speed cannot be too fast, otherwise it may be harmful to Robin's wounds in the car. The pumpkin carriage continued to pass through the streets and urban areas, heading towards the port area in the west direction. On the sea outside the port of Magic Valley City, the huge sea dock began to approach the port. At the port and the nearby coastline, the security military fortifications that were previously destroyed by the super artillery are still emitting thick smoke that has not completely dissipated. On the top deck of the offshore dock, Mont Blanc Kulik, the apes, orangutans, and many crew members were extremely happy. Long live the ape, shouted. Grandet is dead at last, the orangutan shouted. This is really a great victory, Mont Blanc Kulik said happily and boldly. Many other crew members were also extremely happy. Many of the crew members joined the Ape Mountain United Army because of Grandet's persecution. That old immortal guy finally went to hell. The sky is in the west over Grand Terrace, long live. That cheapskate is finally finished. After so many years, so many days and nights, I finally won the victory. That bad old man is finally dead. A hard-won victory. Looking forward to the stars, looking forward to the moon, I finally looked forward to him to death. Our heroes have emerged victorious. This is an unparalleled joy. Many crew members are cheering. Over the years, countless people have been brutally persecuted by Grandet. Some people lost their property, some lost their reputation, and some even lost their loved ones. But evil is rewarded with evil, and everything has come to an end. Finally, Grandet deserved what he deserved and went to the west. This is one thing that both Gaia Island and the surrounding waters are enough to please. This is a feast of justice. But a huge part of the people on the sea docks are when they are immersed in great joy. But there is a small group of people who are not happy now. Usopp told Sauron, Nami, King of Ninja, Goddess of Spring, and Chopper about Robin's injury. Why is Robin injured? Nami and Chopper said in shock. Usopp nodded and said, yes, according to what Rog and the others said. Robin was physically injured. So. Usopp looked at Chopper and said, Chopper, you need to be more prepared. Chopper's face was also quite worried, but he immediately became very serious. Okay, leave it to me, Chopper said seriously. Chopper quickly started preparing his medical equipment and medicines, and Nami and Usopp also helped. The huge sea dock finally docked at the port of Magic Valley City. A huge ladder was built from the side of the offshore dock to the port. Then Mont Blanc Kulik, the apes, orangutans, and a large number of ship doctors all came down. Usopp, Chopper, and Nami also came down. Everyone is getting ready here at the port to welcome the four triumphant heroes. When the huge sea dock docked at the port, many residents of Magic Valley City stood on the top of the building or on the ground in the distance to observe this behemoth. Many people also know about the Ape Mountain United Army. People are talking about it one after another, and now not only the sea dock is docked here, but the Ape Mountain United Army has also landed. Is this Mont Blanc Kulik and the Saracen United Army led by him? Have you seen it? They have defeated the incomparably powerful security forces. In terms of momentum, it is beyond ordinary people. It is really awe-inspiring. This huge offshore dock is really invincible. The cannon that shook the world is still fresh in my memory. For a while, the docking of the huge sea dock became a lively event discussed and watched by people in Magic Valley City. In the urban area of Magic Valley City, Sanji drove the pumpkin carriage forward quickly and steadily, and finally approached the port area after passing through various bustling urban areas. Along the way, this pumpkin-like carriage pulled by eggplant-like horses attracted a lot of attention. After all, this kind of carriage is so strange. There was already a fierce battle between the security army and the Iruyama allied army today. Now that someone saw this peculiar carriage again, many people suddenly wondered if they were still asleep today. The pumpkin carriage traveled quickly in the city, while Sanji chose the road carefully. Rog uses the map to help guide the best route, and now he needs to avoid detours and reach the port area as soon as possible. Okay, I can see the port, Luffy said after watching from the top of the pumpkin carriage. Drive. Sanji drove the carriage and continued on. Roger also poked his head out of the car to observe. The carriage was constantly approaching the port. The huge sea dock can also be seen by Rog and Sanji. Pirate Plant Fruit. Author, Lee A Dream. Chapter 573. ID Con 17063885. The sea dock, which is comparable to a small city, is docked in the port area, and it is simply a giant. Other ships, even heavy ships with a length of meters, seem to be toys in comparison. Finally almost there, Sanji said excitedly. The pumpkin carriage finally arrived at the port after its final march. Well, everyone is waiting for us, Luffy said when he saw the people waiting at the port. At the port where the huge sea dock docked, Mont Blanc, Kulik and Usopp were waiting for Sanji and Rog with expectant faces. When Usopp saw a strange carriage approaching, he said happily, "They are coming." Everyone saw two eggplant-like horses running and pulling a pumpkin-like carriage behind them. The carriage turned from this peculiar plant surprised everyone who was waiting. But Usopp and the others thought about it again, because there was Rog, it was not surprising that all kinds of strange things appeared. "It's actually a horse that looks like an eggplant," the ape said in surprise. "There is also a carriage that looks like a pumpkin," the orangutan said in surprise. In the eyes of everyone, the pumpkin carriage finally arrived on the land of the port under the control of Sanji. Sanji saw the people waiting, and moved the carriage to a suitable position. "Conquer." Sanji held the vines that were equivalent to the reins, and stopped the carriage. "Welcome the heroes back in triumph." Deafening cheers erupted from the apes and orangutans, as well as the numerous crew members of the Ape Mountain United Army. Without saying a word, Sanji quickly jumped off the pumpkin carriage. Luffy also jumped down quickly. Roger opened the carriage door. Sanji and Roger helped the injured Robin down. "Hurry up and heal Sister Robin," Sanji said loudly. "Chopper," Rog said loudly. Chopper rushed over quickly and said, "I'm here." Usopp and Nami also followed. Everyone helps Chopper to treat Robin. Seeing that everyone cared about him so much, Robin's deep eyes became a little touched. "Thank you for your concern," Robin said with some emotion. "Don't say anything else, hurry up to that simple bed." "Are you stabbed here?" Chopper asked urgently with a serious face. Robin was first arranged to lie on a bed, and then Chopper began to give Robin further treatment with the help of others. Because Robin's body parts are afraid of exposure and the wind may bring bacteria and harm, everyone also helped to set up a tent urgently. In the tent, Chopper urgently gave Robin further treatment. Inside the tent, Chopper performed the operation intensively with the help of Nami. Anesthetic, Chopper said to Nami. Nami gave Chopper a tube of narcotic medicine. Chopper finished the tube of anesthetic drugs with a syringe. Then Chopper aimed the needle near the wound on Robin's right chest. He stuck a needle near Robin's wound and injected anesthesia into it. Nami kept comforting Robin at this time. "Robin, don't worry. Chopper's medical skills are amazing," Nami comforted Robin. Robin looked calm. "I trust Chopper's medical skills," Robin said gently. After being injected with anesthetic, Robin gradually felt sleepy. After a while, she fell asleep first. Robin fell asleep, and Chopper stepped up the surgery. "Nami, antibiotics," Chopper continued. Nami just kept passing various medicines to Chopper like this. After injecting enough various medicines, Chopper used a scalpel to cut open the area around Robin's right chest to check the injured part inside. Robin's right lung lobe was punctured. After Chopper helped disinfect it, he sutured it back up very carefully. After suturing the right lung lobe, Chopper sewed up the outer skin of Robin. Kyoba performed the operation very carefully. Nami on the side was trembling after seeing the bloody operation. But Chopper seemed to be repairing a very delicate item, neither timid nor contemptuous. Use up your own medical skills to finish the treatment in one breath. Outside the surgery tent, Rog and Luffy, Zoro and Usopp are all waiting. In this case, Chopper and Robin during the operation were very afraid of being disturbed. So whether it is Rog, Sauron, Luffy, or Usopp, they are all guarding outside the tent, not only not going in by themselves, but also preventing other people from disturbing them. Sanji cooks in another tent in the port area. Beside the hot pot, Sanji cooked the soup meticulously. "For Sister Robin, I must do my best." Sanji looked at the soup in the pot and said. Chopper had also taught San how to treat the injured with liquid food before. Because many people who have been seriously injured have reduced immunity and reduced gastrointestinal function. In this case, if you eat normal bread, meat, and other foods, it will cause a serious burden on the body due to digestion. Therefore, cooking liquid food for the injured at this time will not only meet the nutritional needs of the injured, but will not cause a physical burden. Sanji stirs milk, flour, and butter together to make a thick soup as a soup for protein and calories. Because the wounded needed vitamins, Sanji squeezed a lot of strawberry juice, apple juice, orange juice, and tomato juice by himself. Of course, Rog used the power of plant fruits to help grow a lot of fruits and vegetables. Considering that the injured needed to eat meat containing iron and other minerals, Sanji ground the beef into very fine minced meat, and then mixed it with the ground pineapple fiber to make soup. The soup made in this way is rich in meat nutrition. Everyone is so busy. It was dusk already. On the sea to the west of Gaia Island, the crimson sun slowly descended from the sea level. The Ninja King is also waiting near the surgery tent. He also keeps an eye on what's going on in the surrounding area. After all, the danger of Magic Valley City has not been completely lifted. The goddess of spring is standing by the sea. From here she can better understand the elements between the sea, sky, and land. Although she is good at magic since she was born on a magic island, the real source of magic is to mobilize the elements and power of heaven and earth to activate effects. Therefore, as a magician, you must always pay attention to the elements of everything around you. Mont Blanc Kulik, together with the apes and orangutans as the core, commanded the activities of the crew of the Saurus Mountain Alliance Army. After all, although Grandet has been eliminated, there are still many things to do. The first is the need for supplies. The orangutans each led their troops and hurried to the city to purchase. In any case, the Saruyama United Army is full of energy, and victory brings great hope. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Pirate Plant Fruit. Author, Lee A Dream. Chapter 574. ID Con 1706386. At this time, at the Grandet Mansion. On the flat ground in front of the mansion, a stretcher was carried out. But it was covered with a white cloth. On the side was the burly and majestic General Du Lun, as well as a large number of officers and soldiers of the security forces. And Eugenie, and the steward and attendants of Charles. Eugenie knelt down, covered her face and wept in pain. Miss, the master has gone, but you must pay attention to your health. The housekeeper Shire also said in grief and tears. Covered in white cloth on this stretcher was Grandet's broken body. Eugenie saw her father's mutilated corpse with her own eyes. The man she had hated, was stingy but was her father after all, passed away completely like this. General Du Lun, who was also standing near the corpse, had a gloomy expression. He also now confirmed Grandet's death. Once Grandet died, the powerful forces originally belonging to Grandet in Magic Valley City also collapsed. Although there are still some remnants of the security forces and some other security forces, without Grandet, there is no one to dominate the overall situation. Where does the future go? General Du Lun was also at a loss. He looked at Eugenie who was crying. Although Grandet still has a daughter, she cannot be the real heir at all. Even if Eugenie can inherit the property, can she take over the military and political power of Demon Valley City? Although Grandet was stingy and mean during his lifetime, he surpassed ordinary people in dealing with money and power. He also treats some of his confidants with both kindness and power, and is good at recovering. Of course, the main force of the security forces has already been destroyed, and even Grandet's rebirth cannot reverse the situation. Commander-in-Chief, what are we going to do? A senior officer next to him asked General Duran. General Duran sighed and said, the remaining troops are on standby. Let everything take its course. General Duran is helpless in the face of the current situation. Although he is a soldier with some courage, he is not good at and has no interest in taking power. However, General Du Lun also knew in his heart that the Ape Mountain United Army might take advantage of the trend to gain the dominance of Magic Valley City. But there is still a powerful force that has been secretly preparing to move. In the port area of Magic Valley City. The sun on the sea level in the west has already set. The moon and stars hang high in the night sky. Roger, Luffy, Sauron, and Usopp have been waiting outside the tent where Chopper was undergoing surgery. After a long wait, there was finally movement in the tent. Huh, it's finally okay. Chopper's voice came. Then Chopper lifted the tent and walked out. As soon as they saw Chopper coming out, Roger and Luffy quickly surrounded him and asked him. Is the operation ready? Roger asked. Is Robin okay? Luffy asked eagerly. Chopper said happily, the operation went smoothly and perfectly. Robin is out of danger. Great, Luffy shouted happily. Can we go in now? Roger asked. You can go in and take a look. Robin is in good spirits now. But don't bother her too much, Chopper said. Rog and Luffy, Sauron, and Usopp all entered the tent. The four entered the tent and saw Robin lying on a bed. Nami was taking care of her. Robin also smiled when he saw the four of them coming in. Robin, you're ready, Luffy said happily. Robin looked at the four of them with a smile and said, I feel good now, Chopper's medical skills are really superb. Roger was also happy to see that Robin was fine. Sauron also showed a rare expression of joy. By the way, please do me a favor. Robin and I are both hungry. Hurry up and get some food, Nami said to Roger and Luffy. Hurry up to Sanji, Rog said. At this moment, there was a frantic voice outside the tent. Sister Robin, I'm here. The tent flap was lifted and Sanji rushed in. Sanji saw Robin lying on the bed safe and sound, and knew that the operation was a success. Oh, Sister Robin. Sanji rushed to Robin's bed full of love and concern. He knelt down like a knight, held Robin's hand and said, Sister Robin, it's great that you are safe and sound. After you recover, I will cook countless delicacies for Miss Robin to enjoy. Nami looked at Sanji and said, you came just in time, Robin and I are both hungry. Let's get some food. Okay, I have already cooked delicious soup for Sister Robin to enjoy. It is good for the body to eat those soups when the wound is not fully healed. And Miss Nami, I squeezed a lot of your best I like orange juice, Sanji said courteously. Gilialo. Suddenly there was a sound of stomach growling. Luffy touched his belly. Sanji, I'm hungry too. Luffy said. Sanji said coldly, it's ladies' priority time now. You know, and I know even if you don't tell me. It's just like the clock in your belly that tells time. Now that the burden in his heart was relieved, Luffy felt hungry and wanted to eat a lot. Curly eyebrow, I also want something to eat. Bread and sausages will do, Zoro also said. Hey, you wouldn't look for it yourself. Sanji said, very dissatisfied. At this moment, the curtain of the tent was lifted again. Mont Blanc Kulik, orangutans and orangutans all came in. Chopper, king of ninja and goddess of spring also followed. Ah, it looks like your complexion is much better, Mont Blanc Kulik said happily when he saw that Robin was in better condition. Thank you for your concern, Robin said politely. In this battle, we completely eliminated Grandet. Now this victory mainly depends on the hard work of all heroes. So I tell you now, we will hold a celebration banquet tonight. Mont Blanc Kulik said enthusiastically. Hearing this, both Usopp and Luffy's eyes are shining, and their faces are very excited. Banquet. Luffy and Usopp shouted excitedly. The orangutan said excitedly, yes, for all the heroes. Let's have such a celebration. The orangutan said excitedly, everyone has worked so hard to defeat the enemy, so we must celebrate well. Okay, we have already set up enough tables and cooked enough food in the land area of the port. Please wait and go out to participate in this great celebration banquet. Mont Blanc Kulik said excitedly. Although Mont Blanc Kulik often appears unsmiling, he is a man full of passion in his bones. It is good. Everyone in the tent said happily. Then Rog and Usopp left the tent together. Pirate Plant Fruit. Author, Lee A Dream. Chapter 575. ID Con 17075151. I saw that the land near the port was brightly lit, and many torches illuminated the surrounding ground. Many tables were set. The swarms of delicious meals above exude a fragrant smell. Grilled lobster, grilled beef, grilled whole pig, grilled whale meat, grilled squid, and other delicious meats are all available. Chocolate cake, cream cake, coconut cake, blueberry cake, all kinds of delicious pastries are available. There are also many tropical fruits. Needless to say, there are all kinds of champagne, whiskey, rum, tequila, cocktails, gin, red wine, and white wine. There is also a large selection of other beverages such as milk and yogurt, as well as cold coffee and other specialty beverages. But the most eye-catching thing is not these big meals and fine wines. Instead, crowds of excited people raised torches. It was so lively. Luffy said happily. It's totally possible to hold an extremely joyful feast. Usopp said excitedly. Mont Blanc Kulik said, okay, everyone. Let us start this great celebration. Okay. The crowd cheered happily. Rog, Usopp, Chopper, Sauron, Sanji, Luffy, the king of ninjas, and the goddess of spring all participated in this grand celebration banquet. Although Robin was injured, he was able to sit on the chair after Chopper's treatment. Nami helped Robin sit on a chair and participated in the grand celebration banquet. Mont Blanc Kulik stood on a temporary high platform in front of the banquet tables and gave a speech to everyone. Everyone, it is an honor for everyone present to be able to sit here today and participate in this grand banquet. Mont Blanc Kulik started his speech with a powerful tone. We finally succeeded in defeating Grandet and his army today. This is the reward for the blood and courage of countless heroes. This process has gone through a lot of hardships and difficulties, and countless people have shed their blood for our just goal. Fight hard. Those who once fought with us but passed away are still with us at this moment. They are observing our current victory in heaven. There they observe everyone here with a smile. Because our goal is ultimately it was realized. Grandet died and his army was destroyed. This horrific storm in the Magic Valley city on Gaia Island was finally ended. Therefore, everyone present should be proud. Following the end of Mont Blanc Kulik's very provocative speech, the crowd present thunderous applause and cheers. All people are proud and proud. Enjoyed the great joy of this victory. Okay, please enjoy this dinner, Mont Blanc Kulik said boldly. Afterwards, Mont Blanc Kulik also walked down from the high platform, and sat on a chair by a dining table to join the celebration dinner. The celebration dinner officially began. Countless people, whether they were members of the Ape Mountain United Army, the Straw Hat Pirates, or even some local people from Magic Valley City, joined this bustling dinner. The sound of various wine glasses colliding, the sound of biting food, and laughter filled the port area. It feels so good, Luffy shouted excitedly, standing on the chair. He raised a large wine glass in one hand, and a huge roast beef leg in the other. Eat meat and drink wine. Luffy's big stomach style is undoubtedly here. Oh, you are really good at eating. The guy in the straw hat has a great appetite. A roast beef leg can be eaten faster than we can eat a roast chicken leg. Many crew members of the Saruyama United Army exclaimed excitedly. Luffy, do you dare to challenge me to show your appetite? At this time, the orangutan suddenly came over. Luffy looked at him and said excitedly, okay, come on. Okay, the orangutan looked at the roast turkey on a large plate on the dining table. This roast turkey is perfectly roasted and covered in spices and butter. Butter roasted turkey, I love it. As soon as the orangutan picked up the roasted turkey with butter, he stuffed it into his mouth. Originally, the body of the orangutan is much larger than that of ordinary humans, so he stuffed the roasted turkey with butter into his mouth in one bite. Then he started chewing hard with his teeth. Crack, click, click. The orangutan and the bones inside the buttered turkey are chewed and swallowed. In a few moments, a buttered roast turkey was swallowed by the orangutan. The orangutan deputy commander has a great appetite. I even swallowed the bones. Looking at it, I wish I had such a big mouth. The crew members of the surrounding Saruyama United Army were all amazed. Luffy also looked at the orangutan with curious eyes. I even swallowed the bones. Luffy said excitedly. Although Luffy is very greedy and has an amazing appetite, he rarely eats meat without spitting out the bones. The orangutan looked at Luffy, touched his mouth and said, what's so curious about this? The bones of meat contain essential nutrients such as bone marrow. Most people throw away the bones, which is a waste. I just like to eat the bones and meat like this. Swallow it together. Luffy clapped his hands and said, okay, I'll come too. Luffy picked up a grilled fish steak, stuffed it into his mouth and ate it. This time Luffy smashed the fish bone hard with his teeth and swallowed it. Crack, click, click. This time Luffy completely swallowed the grilled fish steak with bones and meat. Ah, I'm not used to it yet. Luffy said after swallowing. He picked up the wine glass and poured it down his throat. The orangutan looked at Luffy and said, since you are a man, you must eat generously. Let's compete to see who can eat the most meat and bones together. Okay. Okay, Luffy said boldly. Some crew members of the Ape Mountain United Army also took the opportunity to boo. Let's be the referee. These Sarasama United Army crew members serve as referees. Luffy and the orangutan started the race. Luffy picked up a whole roasted suckling pig, and the orangutan picked up a roasted elephant trunk fish. When two people start competing, two men with big appetites will compete with each other. The crew members of the Ape Mountain United Army around them also booed and calculated how much the two of them could eat. You two, keep up the good work. Luffy and the orangutan chomped on the delicacy under the booing of many members of the Ape Mountain Allied forces. Usopp is now at a dining table bragging about his various wonderful adventures. Yes, this is what happened at that time. Before we came to Gaia Island, we had a life and death battle with the extremely evil King Shishibukaisha crocodile in Alabasta. You want to hear the details? What's the content? Usopp said proudly, raising his thumbs up to himself. Pirate Plant Fruit. Author, Lee A Dream. Chapter 576. ID Con 17075152. Want to? Many crew members of the Ape Mountain United Army said excitedly together. They looked at Usopp like a god, and listened to his thrilling adventures. At that time, in the vast desert, Crocodile manipulated the desert land to create a desert giant hundreds of meters high. The giant itself would shake the earth every time it took a step, but what about Captain Usopp and many of his friends? But he is not afraid of strong enemies and fights bravely. Many crew members of the Saruyama Allied forces listened with fascination. Usopp is indeed very good at telling these magnificent stories, and by the way, he also added more oil and vinegar to make the stories more exaggerated. Of course, the role and experience of Captain Usopp are exaggerated, but others don't know it. We can only guess at the fictional elements inside. Rog, Zoro, and the Ninja King enjoy wine and food to their heart's content. Here, cheers. The three raised their large wine glasses and poured the whiskey into their mouths after colliding with each other. Cuckoo. 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 The three drank the whiskey in their glasses. Really good wine. After Roger drank the whiskey, he picked up an arm-thick beef sausage and began to nibble on it. These grilled whale meat are really good. Sauron inserted a knife into a large piece of grilled whale meat on a plate, and began to eat it with big mouthfuls. I like sashimi best. The Ninja King put a plate of sashimi in groups with a fork, stuffed it into his mouth and ate it. The always strict Ninja King also appeared quite free and easy this time. Let me join in. Let's see who can drink better. Suddenly the orangutan came over, he kicked up a wooden barrel full of fine wine and said, "Okay Rog, Sauron," and the Ninja King said in unison. The orangutan lifted the barrel and cut a hole in it with a knife. Cuckoo. Red wine is poured into the glass. After pouring his own wine glass, the apes began to pour wine for Roger and the others. "I'll do it myself," Roger said. "You're welcome. You are both new friends. You are also the heroes who defeated Grandet and the others. Don't be disrespectful when I pour you wine," the orangutan said boldly. He quickly poured wine for Rog, Sauron, and the King of Ninjas with wooden barrels. "Here, cheers." The ape put the barrel down, raised his glass and said, "Come on, cheers," Roger said, raising his glass full of red wine. "I'm sure I can take the first place." Sauron raised his glass and said confidently. "This wine smells good," said the Ninja King. Dang, 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 dang. After the four people toasted, they poured the red wine from the large wine glass down their throats. Rog, Sauron, the King of Ninjas and the apes started a competition to see who can drink. The same group of crew members of the Ape Mountain United Army also came around to boo. "I like Brother Roger, who can manipulate plants. Come on, Brother Roger. I think the swordsman Sauron, the great warrior, will definitely be the first to stand up to you. Come on Ninja brothers. Our orangutan deputy commander will win." The heroic voice and laughter filled the surroundings. Nami and Robin are also sitting at the same dining table, and the goddess of spring water is also here. Sanji also complimented the three ladies very kindly here. There are also some female sailors and chefs of the Saruyama United Army here. On the dining table where Robin and the others were sitting, there were many pots and stoves filled with soup. There is also plenty of freshly squeezed juice. Sister Robin, because your physical injury has just healed, you need to eat these foods that are suitable for consumption. Don't worry, these soups are full of nutrition. They are guaranteed to be delicious and healthy. Sanji said politely. When Robin saw these delicious soups, he also smiled and said, Sanji, it's really hard work for you. You made it so carefully. Sanji scooped up a bowl of soup with a large spoon. Please, Miss Robin. This is beef and pineapple soup, please enjoy. Sanji presented this bowl of soup in front of Robin in a very gentlemanly manner. Robin took the bowl of soup and said to Sanji, thank you. Robin sniffed this bowl of beef and pineapple soup for a while, and the mellow aroma of beef and the fresh taste of pineapple penetrated through the nasal cavity together. It smells very good. It must taste even more delicious, Robin said in praise. Robin spooned a spoonful of soup into his mouth. After the entrance, the rich beef broth is thick but full of flavor. The taste of the sauce is delicious, and the beef is fully integrated with the seasoning. The fiber in the pineapple adds to the flavor instead. It's so delicious. Robin closed his eyes and said with a smile. Sanji's face became full of love when he heard it, and he was immersed in Robin's praise. Sanji is generally or a little happy to be praised by others, because Sanji is very confident in his cooking skills. But Robin was different. Being able to win the praise of an elegant girl with a mysterious temperament like Robin, Sanji jumped happily into the sky. Sister Robin, please feel free to enjoy all the soups I cook. Sanji said very respectfully. I'm sorry to bother you, I feel embarrassed, Robin said with a smile. Where? As a knight and a gentleman, I will go through fire and water for Sister Robin and cook unexpected delicacies. Sanji said with great ambition. By the way, Nami, your favorite orange juice is here. Sanji respectfully presented the orange juice poured into the goblet. Thank you, Sanji. I love orange juice the most. Nami took the goblet of orange juice and said. Sanji took another strawberry cake and presented it to the spring goddess. Goddess, your favorite strawberry cake is ready. Sanji said respectfully. Oh, thank you so much, Sanji, the spring water goddess said softly. Sanji was even more happy to be praised by Nami and the goddess of spring water one after another. In addition, there are many female crew members around, and some of them are quite beautiful. Brother Sanji, your cooking skills are really great. Brother Sanji, you are not only good at cooking, but also handsome. You have the best of both worlds. What a handsome guy with blonde hair and curly eyebrows, you are such a gentleman. Your fighting power is very strong. It is said that you eliminated Granddad. You are really a powerful and elegant knight. After hearing so many compliments from young and beautiful girls, Sanji's nose bleeds immediately. He quickly took out a handkerchief from his suit to dry his nosebleed. Ladies, I want to make a statement first. I'm afraid you are mistaken about one thing. Granddad was finally killed by his bodyguards who tried to use explosives to kill me. I didn't kill him. Sanji said politely and seriously. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Pirate Plant Fruit. Author, Lee A Dream. Chapter 577. ID Con 1707873. Oh, right. Then what I heard was a rumor. But you are also very powerful like this. Yes, the enemy was pushed to the extreme and jumped over the wall to his own destruction. Without Brother Sanji's hard work, he wouldn't be able to die. As expected of Brother Sanji, you are so humble. For example, your long-nosed brother has already reached the sky. Another wave of compliments. After Sanji heard this, his whole body was about to float up and fly into the sky. Ladies, as long as I, Sanji, am here, I will try my best to cook any delicacies you want to taste. In the name of my man, I swear that I will cook the most delicious food for all my dear ladies like a responsible gentleman. Delicacies. Sanji stood upright abruptly, and swore with pride. There are many chefs around and they also said to Sanji, Brother Sanji, we will continue to ask you for advice. Sanji looked at them again and said, okay, you're fine. Sanji is now in full bloom, not only admired by groups of beauties, but also respected by a large number of chefs. For a man like him who likes women, has superb cooking skills and strong fighting power, this is a great enjoyment. His own personal charm and his own ability are appreciated, which is really like being in heaven for Sanji. Even happier than heaven. Sanji looked at the food placed by other chefs on the table again. Because only Robin here can only eat the soup he cooked, the others can still eat normal food. By the way, I didn't participate in your cooking this time because I was cooking for the wounded. Now let me taste how much your cooking skills have improved. Sanji walked to a steak and began to cut and taste it with a knife and fork. Topped with cheese, this steak is a dish known as a cheesesteak. This dish was taught by Sanji to these chefs when the shipyard was still drifting in the sea. Sanji cut a piece of steak as big as his palm with a table knife, and then put it into his mouth with a fork. All the chefs around put their hearts into their throats at this time. They look forward to Sanji's evaluation. Sanji's expression was calm at this time, and he was carefully tasting the taste of the cheesesteak in his mouth. How is it? That's what the chefs around him most want to know. Well, the creamy flavor of the cheese, the texture of the beef, congratulations, you have improved 10 times compared to before. Sanji finally made a comment. The faces of the chefs around became extremely happy. Awesome. The group of chefs gave an overwhelming cheer. They have been working hard to learn Sanji's culinary skills for a long time. Although Sanji doesn't have much time to guide them, they benefit a lot every time. Now at this celebration banquet, the cooking skills of these chefs belonging to the Sarushan United Bureau have finally been recognized by Sanji, who is a teacher. This made these chefs times happier than winning Grandet. Thank you, Mr. Sanji, for your cultivation. The chefs quickly lined up in 3 rows and bowed respectfully to Sanji. Your own efforts are the decisive factor. Well, from now on, I will guide you as long as I am still here. You have to keep working hard. Cooking is also a science. The pursuit of delicious food is endless. Sanji said calmly. These chefs raised their heads and looked at Sanji full of admiration. What Sanji said just now is the supreme teaching for them. Especially the sentence cooking is also a science. Okay, Mr. Sanji. The chef said respectfully. Although these chefs have made great progress in cooking, they are still far from masters. With Sanji, the god of cooking, here, these chefs can't wait to kneel at Sanji's feet day and night to learn excellent cooking skills. Seeing the crazy looks of these chefs, Nami said with shame, if they know that we can eat Sanji's dishes every day, they will definitely be envious. Robin and the goddess of spring smiled slightly. Chopper being complimented by hordes of ship doctors at a dining table. Dr. Chopper, I offer you a toast. Dr. Chopper, I respect you too. Dr. Chopper, your medical skills are really superb. Dr. Kyoba, I have no regrets in being able to be your student. Dr. Chopper, your advice made my medical skills feel like I found a treasure in the sea. The respect of many ship doctors made Chopper very embarrassed. The little guy with the blue nose stroked his head with his hoof and said shyly, I hate it. You compliment me like this. I can't stand it. No, How can this be a compliment? It's obviously the truth. Dr. Chopper, why do you have to be so modest? Dr. Chopper, you are a doctor from the drum country. You are really skilled in medicine. It is said that the drum country has produced a large number of medical talents. In the past, there have been countless genius doctors. Now there is a genius reindeer doctor like Chopper. Dr. Chopper, we want to learn more medical skills from you. The praises of this group of ship doctors are endless. Chopper was too embarrassed to refute. All he had left was to toast with the ship's doctors who adored him. When this grand celebration banquet was in full swing, Mont Blanc Kulik wandered among the dining tables. Personal care for all present. Whether it was Rog, Zorro, and Luffy, members of the Straw Hat Pirates, or members of the Saruyama United Army, or even some residents of Magic Valley City who temporarily participated in the banquet, he was very cordial to toast and thank them. Chat. The residents of Magic Valley City were also invited by him, because the battle of defeating Grandet and the security forces produced a huge response. Mont Blanc Kulik wanted to consolidate people's hearts at the first opportunity in order to create more convenient conditions for possible future actions. The greatest wealth in war is the human heart. It is not enough for only a small group of troops to win. Only when the hearts of the vast majority of people are harvested can the war be truly won. Mont Blanc Kulik knows this very well. As a leader of the resistance forces, he possesses these political qualities very well. Even this celebration dinner he made full use of. Along with the banquet, some residents of Magic Valley City also arrived one after another. After all, in the years of confrontation in the past, the Ape Mountain United Army never harmed the common people, and won itself a high popularity. However, when everything seems to be successful, a potential crisis is brewing. Magic Valley City is located on the western coast of Gaia Island. On a reef island in the northeast waters of Gaia Island, a powerful pirate force gets news of Grandet's defeat. Pirate Plant Fruit. Author, Lee R. A Dream. Chapter 578. ID Con 1707874. This evening, on a reef island in the northeast waters of Gaia Island. Although this reef island is formed by reefs, after a long period of silt brought by the sea and plant seeds blown by the wind, it has become a large-scale island. There are also some man-made buildings on this island. A wharf that can moor large ships was built here. There are also 2 large forts near the pier. There are several huge warships in the dock. One of them is up to 200 meters long and is a rare super heavy warship. There are 4-meter-long heavy warships moored around, and there is also a strangely shaped heavy submarine a little further away. These warships are completely a fleet. The 200-meter-long super heavy warship is the flagship of these warships. The words New Vicky Bello are engraved on the hull of this flagship. The sail of the mainmast of this super heavy warship fell, but a flag fluttered above the top. The flag has a peculiar pattern of pirates. In the middle of the intersection of 2 bones, a round toothy smile with a slash. Even if the sea breeze is not strong at night, the flag of the pirates is still fluttering. In fact, if a knowledgeable person sees this pirate group pattern, they will quickly become trembling. Because this peculiar pattern of the pirate group is actually the logo of the pirate group of Don Quixote da Flamingo, one of the 7 kings of the sea. However, the real owner of this flagship and this fleet is not Da Flamingo, but a new pirate group who joined Da Flamingo. But the owner of this emerging pirate group worships Da Flamingo too much, so the logo of the own pirate group has been replaced with this logo after joining Da Flamingo. The warships here in the port are all anchored in their berths, and there are some unarmed civilian ships around. The 2 large forts in the port are also brightly lit, and someone has been guarding here to prevent any possible enemy sneak attack. Despite the prestige of the owner of this fleet and the strength of Da Flamingo in the background, no one dared to do this easily. But not afraid of 10,000, just in case, the personnel in these 2 large forts are still on guard at all times. On the rocky island, there is also a majestic castle with bright lights. The top of this imposing castle also flies a huge toothy smiley face with a slashed pirate's flag. On the head of the castle, well-armed guards are constantly watching the surroundings. In the depths of the castle, in a banquet hall, a group of people are enjoying dinner here, discussing the emergency they have learned. Sitting in the seat at the far end was a man with short blonde hair. He was covered with bronzed muscles and wore a short coat. In front of him was a huge plate, which contained a large piece of roast beef that was roasted delicately. He was finishing the roast beef in big gulps. The man was eating like a ravenous dog. Chi-lu, Chi-lu. The man kept sticking out his tongue and licking his mouth repeatedly. Like a dog who can't get enough of the food he eats. There is a large scar on the left side of his face from top to bottom. Those eyes are full of a kind of madness, making people feel as if they are looking for prey. It's delicious. Go on, Eddie. The man spoke to someone in a nearby seat. Boss Bellamy, the situation is indeed like this. Grandet died in the opponent's battle this afternoon. Now the original Grandet forces in Demon Valley City can be said to have become a mess, the person being questioned said. Bellamy finally retracted her tongue into her mouth. He looked at each other with excitement on his face. Grandet is dead. That stingy old man is finally dead. Bellamy said excitedly. This tongue-licking man is Bellamy, Grandet's former ally. Bellamy is a powerful pirate that roams the waters near Gaia Island. He is also a member of Don Quixote da Flamingo, one of the king's Shichibukai. In the waters near Gaia Island, Bellamy and his Bellamy pirates terrified everyone. Known as the Sideburn, Bellamy often snatched other people's wealth the way a whiskey hunts its prey. Bellamy looked at the man named Eddie and continued to ask, Eddie, since old man Grandet is dead, then I want to hear your opinion on the situation. After all, among us, you are the equivalent of a staff officer. Eddie said modestly, Boss Bellamy, this is really a compliment. But I will use my limited talents to contribute wisdom to everyone. The blond man named Eddie was wearing black sportswear. There is a recording pointer on the right hand. This means he is a navigator. However, most navigators are used to wearing the record pointer on the left hand. Eddie's face was different from Bellamy's and everyone else in the room. He was very gentle. Looks like an intellectual. In fact, Eddie is also the core staff of the Bellamy pirates. Eddie looked at Bellamy and began his analysis. Grandet is dead now. According to intelligence, the security forces under his command have also suffered unprecedented heavy losses. As early as many days ago, there were insider rumors that the security forces of Magic Valley City, the main force of the fleet, was annihilated. During the day today, the giant sea dock of the Saruyama United Army went to the port to carry out shelling operations. This can prove that not only Grandet died, but the main force of the security forces was also annihilated. In this way, Grandet's original forces are still left. It is those industries, as well as the security forces, and the remnants of the security forces. If this is the case, there will definitely be a new leader to replace Grandet in Magic Valley City. So if you want to become a new leader, you must act quickly to receive what remains of Grandet's power. Hearing this, Bellamy's eyes became very excited, as if a sideburn had found its prey. Eddie looked at Bellamy. He saw Bellamy's expression and eyes, and knew Bellamy's wishes. Eddie continued, and now the most reasonable candidate for the entire Gaia Island to receive the original power of Grandet is naturally you, Boss Bellamy. Isn't it? Bellamy's face showed joy, and he said, how do you analyze why you can think like this? Eddie continued, because Boss Bellamy was Mayor Grandet's partner during his lifetime. Mayor Grandet's ability to stand firm in Magic Valley City for so many years is inseparable from Boss Bellamy's care. So Bellamy Boss Lamy is naturally the most qualified to receive Grandet's wealth and power. This is very reasonable. And Boss Bellamy's skills are enough to make the people of Magic Valley City obey.